Hi everyone, this is Mason with Kentucky Hidden Wonders. Before we get to today's episode, we want to hear from you. Do you know someone who would make a great guest for Kentucky Hidden Wonders? Fill out the form online at visitshelbyky.com/podcast to nominate a guest. On to the show.
Welcome to Kentucky Hidden Wonders. I'm Jeanette Marson.
And I'm Mason Warren.
Together, we're uncovering the secrets, stories, and hidden gems of Shelby County, Kentucky.
From unforgettable places to off-the-beaten-path adventures, join us as we explore Kentucky treasures and Shelby County's best-kept secrets. Our guest today is Helen McKinney, who is the Executive Director of the Shelby County Historical Society. Helen, thanks for being here.
Thanks so much for being here. We're super excited.
Thank you for having me.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and just how you came to be at the Historical Society?
Okay, sure. Well, I'm a Kentucky native. I grew up in Oldham County, just one county over, pretty close. I grew up on a dairy farm. I have a background in museum work, history, things like that. Went to Bellarmine College, BA in history and English. So I'm a freelance writer too. So that kind of plays into every job I have. But I'm also a Kentucky Colonel, living history reenactor, and a direct descendant of Samuel Boone, who was an older brother to Daniel Boone and Squire Boone, who established Painted Stone Station here in Shelby County. So
that is very cool.
Kind of in my DNA to be in this job. And I came on board. I've been there fully a year now. Actually, I've been a member of the Historical Society off and on over the years. And in probably 2023, Brian Cushing, the previous executive director, asked me to be part of a 250th committee. And we'll kind of go into that later probably and explain that. But America's having a great big birthday party. Yeah. So 250th. And he asked me to be on a committee. And from there, he kind of left a few months after that. They offered me interim last January, and I think it was about mid-March. It was pretty close to this time of year. I came on as permanent. It's just part-time. Wish it was full-time so we could do more. We do a lot of things. It's a part-time position, and I've been in that since about this time last year. So it's, like I said, it's kind of in my DNA to do these things.
That is amazing. I love the part of the tie-in with Daniel Boone and everything. You should dress up like Rebecca Boone every day at the Historical Society.
Has that happened before?
Previous directors, executive directors, have dressed in period clothing. It's just kind of our thing. You know, Brian worked at Locust Grove, so when you do that kind of job, it's just normal. I know other people look at us and think, the comment I get most is, "Are you Amish?"
That's so funny.
But no, I'm like, no, I'm 1781, Frontier, Kentucky. So, but you know, when you put those clothes on, it means a lot to me because I'm a descendant. So I don't know that it means more. I think it does, but I just feel like I just put those clothes on. They're like a second skin. It feels normal, and everybody else is like, well, that's kind of weird, you know. But to me, it's normal. Those things are normal. And when you're a reenactor, especially as a descendant, you walk out on that battlefield when you're actually doing a reenactment, and it's real. I mean, history does come alive in a lot of different ways.
Well, I love dressing up and being other people. And I have probably mentioned this before to you, Helen, but I am a descendant of Henry Banta, which followed Squire Boone here to
Low
Painted
Dutch.
Stone. Yes, from the Low Dutch community. So that's my little tie to history. Yeah. But I know the Historical Society does so much. Just give us a little overview of some of the things that you do at the Historical Society.
Okay, sure. Our mission is to preserve and promote the knowledge and appreciation of Shelby County and Kentucky history, the whole state. We like to tie it all together. We do that in a variety of ways. We have lots of programs. For example, last year we started a series called History Matters Speaker Series, and the library was gracious enough to partner with us. We used the Carnegie Center. And we had a series of 3 to 4 programs, and we had anywhere from 50 to 75 people at each one. These are evening programs. You're not really thinking you're probably going to get that many people. And one of them, we featured Paul Sims, who is a retired Secret Service agent. And we had, I know, 75 people, and people were still coming in once he started speaking. It was just amazing. So tomorrow night kicks off the first one of those. We are going to feature Vivian Overall, who will speak about the Lincoln Institute.
She's fantastic.
Yes.
We
She's
love
amazing.
Vivian.
Yes. She helps with our summer camp. She's a special lady. So we think that will be very well attended. I know there's a lot going on tomorrow evening, but we hope people come out. It's at 6 p.m. at the library. And we're going to follow that with Meet Julia Tevis on March 20th. And I'll kind of touch on that. But Julia was the founder of Science Hill Female Academy, which celebrates 200 years this year. So Cheryl Van Stockham is going to do that for us and tell everyone about Julia Tevis. We may have some extra things. We may even bring a few artifacts to show. But we'll have one more in May to wrap up the series. That will probably focus on Derby maybe, or something along those lines, or maybe even our artifacts. Last year, one of our other programs, because we had a whole lot, focused on artifacts between myself and Sarah Beth Farabee, who's our vice president at the Historical Society. We put together a program of, I think we have 14 artifacts. And I explained half, she explained half, and we actually got to show them because people are always asking, well, what do you do over there? What do you all do? And what do you have in your collection? Because we have a limited space where we can display, and we have a lot of stuff. We're always taking in collections. So Sarah Beth thought, well, why don't we do this program and kind of see where it goes? And people were really interested in that. We got enough feedback to do another one. So if our May speaker cannot be there, we may do our artifacts. At some point this year we will, but it's really cool. And we had some things from Science Hill, but that's fun. And we do things like special things for members too. If you're a member, we have just a few members only, like a summer picnic, Christmas dinner, just to show our members how much we appreciate them.
You know what? This is so silly.
Programs.
I didn't realize there was membership. I want to be a member.
Well, that's easy. I was saving that for the end, but I can jump right into that.
Well, we will save that for the end, but just know I'm super interested.
So there's little perks. Let me say that.
Okay.
There's little perks. If you become a member, you get to go to some of these events, and that's really to show our appreciation for your support.
Okay. Gotcha. So your episode will be out kind of early April. And so, we'll keep an eye on the May event and add some details.
Yes.
And the show description and everything like that. So once you get all that set, we'll get that put out.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah. And just kind of going back to what we do, we have a hugely successful summer history camp.
I did it as a kid.
Did you?
Yes.
Did you, Mason?
That's cool.
Yes, I did.
What's a memory you have from that?
What was your take on it?
It was really kind of, to be honest, it was a minute ago, but it was a great time. I had always been interested in history and kind of the area. That was always my favorite subject in school. And so that was just kind of a fun.
Did anything stand out?
Yeah.
Did you?
It was really kind of neat. It just felt, I don't know why, but it was just an interesting, and it was a lot of people that were interested in the same thing. And so it was like, you could ask questions, you can get involved in things like that. And so it was a good.
Do you remember what it focused on? Because they've done all kinds of stuff.
I cannot remember. I know Duane Puckett was there, John Graham,
Probably
Vivian
Sharon
Overall,
Hackworth.
Sharon Hackworth was there. So, I mean, all these people that are still involved, with the exception
Pretty
of
much.
Duane.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was a great time. And the one memory that I have, or one of the memories that I have that kind of stands out, was when we were at Grove Hill Cemetery.
Yeah.
And we were just kind of walking along the path, and I looked down and I'm like, oh, there's my great-grandfather's headstone. I mean, like, it was just kind of fun to see.
Oh, yeah.
that
absolutely.
Kind of makes it real.
I think it was like 7 or something like that. And so I hadn't really been there before to the cemetery or anything like that. And so it was just kind of, I'm like, oh, well, he has my same name. I'm like, oh, that's so-and-so. But it was just kind of a fun connection there.
We try to make it fun in all our programs. We want people to have fun. And last year, I know we had 65 to 70 kids in a waiting list.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
The students who are still eligible from last year, age-wise, get to come back. They get first dibs at it, but then we open it up. So, I mean, we have a waiting list. We're going to try to do a little more this year, but we're also going to have a good portion of it over at Science Hill. We're incorporating Science Hill into a lot of things. So Matt Burnett has let us use that for camp. 3-day camp, first part of June. I think the dates are 3rd through the 5th. But like I said, we have a waiting list. It's won awards. I know 3 to 4 Kentucky History Awards. We won one last year for the previous year for the camp. But it's just amazing. So that's fun. And we speak to school groups too. Back in January, mid-January, we had a group of 45, 46 homeschoolers asked to come in. About 13 of those was parents, the rest kids, and we had an amazing program on artifacts and things that we had in the museum at the time. We speak to the young leadership Shelby. So, if anyone, just contact us if you want to come in or you want me. I'm trying to establish a program called History in a Trunk and take it into the elementary schools. If they can't come to us, I want to go to them.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah,
great idea.
The Kentucky Historical Society does something. They may even call it that. I think I can get away with calling it that. But they kind of are geared for more middle and high schoolers, and this is for more elementary. Elementary is kind of my level, my age, more my focus. And we are starting a junior historical society. That's going to target older kids, but I wanted something specifically for elementary. So, we're limited on space. We can't get 90 kids in the museum at one time. So I'm getting together History in a Trunk to take it to them, which literally we have like an old trunk or a tote. Use a tote or probably an old trunk where I'm going to fill it with like 5 to 6 artifacts, maybe some reenacting clothes they can actually try on. We talk about the Rev War, just to make it fun. History should be fun. It shouldn't be boring and dates and all that dull. Should be fun, like the camp. Like you remember going to camp. Well, that's what, no matter what your age, we want you to get out of what we do. So we speak to school groups. We also, this is a big thing for this year, we have an annual publication that we try to do every year. This year, we'll focus on Science Hill, a female academy, the inn or the restaurant in Wakefield Scarce. It is their bicentennial, the bicentennial of Lafayette, which that kind of goes with some of our 250th. So there's a lot going on, but we wanted to focus that. It's neat. We've got a lot of stories. Actually, we have a meeting tomorrow. We're in the process of still getting the stories for that publication, but I think it's going to be a really good one. And it's going to tie in Wakefield Scarce galleries as well. Matt's going to write an article for us. It's going to be really good, a good thing to look for.
Go back to Lafayette and explain to the listeners who that person was and the connection with Shelby County.
Yeah, Marquis de Lafayette obviously was a Frenchman, helped America win the war, briefly said, was a good friend of Washington. He was younger than Washington. And about 40, 50 years later, after the war had ended, in May 13th, 1825, he visited Shelbyville. And if you've been by our office on Main Street, you've seen the red, white, and blue patriotic-looking sign. That is dedicated to Lafayette's May 13th, 1825 visit. So we're planning a lot of events to go with that in camp. We're going to tie all that in the 250 years. But and we plan to have a big celebration, hopefully on May 13th this year. But Lafayette was very important. They say that when he came, Science Hill opened in, I believe, March 25th, 1825. Well, 6 weeks later, he visited Shelbyville, as the story goes, and was at, I want to say, McGowan Tavern. It was a tavern. They had a ball. The Kentucky State Historical Society has a ball gown that was worn at that ball.
Oh, wow.
It was on display when they put up the marker.
Right.
But the story goes, and we're really looking into this. This will be one of our articles to give you a little preview. This is going to be a good one. Now, this is not historically documented as yet, but we're working on it. They say, so Lafayette came 6 weeks after Julia opened her school, and they say he asked for her to come visit with him and converse in French, because if you think about it, he had been in France, he was out of America, probably no longer spoke as much American. So when he came back to America on that farewell tour he did, 1824, 1825, they say he spoke with Julia, and as accomplished as she was, she taught French, Latin, all the amazing things girls at that time weren't really exposed to. So they say they conversed in French because she was the only person in town that could speak French. So they say. So it makes a nice story. We don't know.
It does.
Yeah.
But just to give you a little teaser about our publication, actually Sarah Beth is working on an article on that. So that's fascinating, but it's that's one way to remember him too. So
1825 was a big year for Shelbyville.
1825
a lot happened. Yes.
Anything else in 1825, or were those the two biggie?
Those are the biggies for this year that we're really plugging.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, those are big. Those are big enough.
Sarah Beth, that you've mentioned, she's going to be a guest on a future episode to talk about the history of the library and how it's a Carnegie Library and the resources in the Kentucky Room and everything like that. So
yes, her and I together, that was one more thing I was going to point out, work on genealogy, more so her because I'm restricted to only so many hours a week, but she handles a lot of the requests because people have a lot of interest, and the older you get, I think you just naturally want to know, but we have requests, we have them from all over. People wanting to know about their ancestors. So she helps with that. That's a big part of what we do in our collections. We're always looking to add to the collections. We have a lot of stuff stored, not at the museum because we just don't have the space. So we try to rotate out. It's kind of a job carrying things back and forth when not everything's together. So we just this year changed out and put up a new exhibit on Science Hill, which an exhibit would be our next biggest thing that we have. So that will run to the end of the year. We're really excited. You'll see all kinds of things. If you drop by and see our exhibit, you'll see, you'll see a dress. I hope I get this right. Matt Burnett's great-grandmother, I believe. He has lent us a dress, maybe her graduation dress that she wore when she graduated from Science Hill.
What do you recall what year?
I want to say early 1900s.
Okay.
But
wow.
It's amazing. So it's there for you to see. We have a lot of documents and kind of paper programs and catalogs and a lot of photos, class photos of the girls that went there. So it's a good exhibit. It gives you a good idea of just how important Science Hill was because it was like the first female academy west of the Alleghenies, pretty much. I think there was something similar in Nashville when Julia opened her academy. Because she referenced it in her book that she wrote, an autobiography. But, it was amazing because I kind of get a giggle. When you read her autobiography, you learn about in the wilderness. Shelby was in the wilderness, still in 1825. But just the thought that she offered a school that taught Latin, Greek, botany, everything that you wouldn't get in a one-room schoolhouse, let alone boys wouldn't get that education. So it kind of made me wonder, why would you send your daughter in the wilderness in 1825? It was a special place to think, well, why am I going to send my daughter there?
Right. And these people had money too.
Primarily,
right?
and a lot of them were from the southern states,
right.
Because there's even instances, one of the ladies that graduated, I think she was in one of the last graduating classes, Rosella Davis, has written some memoirs, been on a KET program, and made the comments, and I've seen that she's made in her writings that, a lot of them were from the southern states. And the girls, if you think about it, because Science Hill went on from 1825 to 1939, that was the last graduating class. But during the Civil Wars, those girls couldn't return home. So some of them were sort of stranded for 4 years during the Civil War at Science Hill. And it had they called them, I think, day boarders. Girls that lived there, boarders, but they couldn't go home for like 4 years. So it's a lot of history. It makes you think.
It does make you think. Now, you mentioned, and I know we have a wonderful, wonderful museum, and you've made mention of it. For the listeners, talk about the hours when you're open.
When can they visit?
When can they visit?
Sure. We are open Wednesday through Friday, 10 to 4, Saturday, 10 to 2, or by appointment. You can call, check with me. Sometimes I have to be out. I don't have any staff. I'm a staff of, I guess, half a person. We're open part-time. So it's if you're coming from, far away, I'd suggest you call. And I do have to be out for meetings or things will come up. But, and we have volunteers that help staff us. But
and is the museum free or is there a charge?
Okay. No charge, free. Yeah.
Very good.
So, but yeah, and it's good to check ahead. Like I said, we can do other hours. My schedule's pretty flexible, but I try to stick to those hours.
Well, it's been a minute since I've been over. I want to come over and see the new exhibit, but
it's neat.
It is a wonderful museum. It really is wonderful.
Yeah. So, is there anything else that you wanted to talk on about what you all do before we move on?
I did want to kind of give a plug. We have got our Junior Historical Society back up and running. Danielle Wade she's actually camp director, a board member, and Junior Historical Society director. She's fabulous. We're getting this back up and running. We feel a need for it to work with. This will be with probably older kids. We'd like to do field trips if we could take them to Fort Boonesboro, Fort Herod. We're just up for anything. So Danielle's getting that up and going. That's a big thing right now we're working on.
Yep.
Is it through the schools or how can?
Through the schools. She'll work through the schools. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, kind of get a club together, I guess you'd say. And just one of our other, we're always looking for volunteers and help. We are working on several digitization projects as well. And that is some things, that's kind of we mentioned some member perks. That's kind of a perk. We'll have some things on our website that if you're a member, you can access them. You may not be able to unless you're a member, but it doesn't cost much to become a member. So that will help researchers, writers, anyone just interested in history. So we have a lot going on.
Gotcha. So there's an exciting anniversary coming up in 2026. America is turning 250. There are celebrations planned throughout the country, but the Shelby County Historical Society is kind of taking the lead on that for Shelby County, I think. So can you talk about what you all have planned for that?
Yeah, sure. And that goes back. That was started by Brian Cushing, started a committee, and we're calling ourselves Countdown to USA 250. And actually, we had a big kickoff last year. It was the day of the Independence Day Parade. I think that's always the last Saturday in June. We had some demos. We had some demos along the parade route in front of Centenary United Methodist. We had kind of like a Rev War encampment. And then we had at our Historical Society, as the parade passes right by there, we had a lot going on there too. We had a special display from the Kentucky State Historical Society, displayed the state constitution. So that was really exciting to have that. We had a lot of people come in, and the SAR, Sons of the American Revolution Museum in Louisville, also came out and displayed some artifacts. So we like to partner any way we can partner. That was really cool. We had good traffic, but it was amazing to see that 1792 state constitution right there in front of you. Yeah. That was amazing. So we kicked off. We've got some programming that also goes along with our programming for this year. We're going to kick off April 15th, a new series entitled With Liberty and Justice for All. And I've got one more speaker to nail down. It should be set. As soon as I get that, I'll release information. But April 15th, we're excited to have Jim Holmberg from the Filson Historical Society. I think he's going to talk more about the Clark family, but all these programs will focus on the Rev War years and how it really began. Although we do want to encompass, 250 years of history. That's a lot of history, and we want to point out Shelby County's contributions as we do this. But one of the other exciting things, this is really cool. This hopefully will come out next month. We're developing something called History Minutes. It's going to be probably more like a YouTube social media type thing, where literally in 60 seconds, someone will have a narrator to give you a few facts about, say, on this day in history is how it will begin. It's based on the bicentennial minutes that were done in 1976. So, we'll start off on this day in history, maybe tell you something about the Boston Tea Party or some fact from those years. But we're also going to focus as much as we can on just a brief fact from Shelby County history that ties in, Squire Boone was here then during the war. Overall in Kentucky, we'll have things about Fort Boonesboro. We'll get a little nod in there. We're working on writing the scripts. But that'll just kind of be another visual where you'll see 60 seconds, you'll hear a little fact, and you'll see some pictures, and that's what we're working on now. So we hope to get that going by next month, and then that'll last a year and 3 months till we actually get to 2026, which when we do get to 2026, our goal is to have a humongous parade in Shelbyville. Just everything red, white, and blue, bunting everywhere, everything you can see, red, white, and blue, devoted to our veterans. So that's really the end goal for us with the 250th.
That sounds fantastic.
Yeah. And you ask about, I'll throw this out there. You ask about Lafayette. He will literally return to Shelbyville May 13th this year. We hope, if all plans go well. We try to try into Main Street events like Wild About Shelbyville, music festival, art festival. We will tie into that. We're going to have a flag display during that, inside and out, to kind of draw some attention. Last year we did that and had some SAR guys demoing, and it was great. So that'll be a tie-in to kind of Lafayette, and he'll come back to Shelbyville May 13th if all goes well. When we put up the sign, the president of the Lafayette Trail, Julian Eicher, I know I won't pronounce his name right. Julian came and spoke, and he has agreed to come again. He wants to give a program. We're kind of going to rededicate our sign. We have a lot of special things planned for May 13th, so we'll be rolling that out soon. But that's, we just try to tie a lot of things into one program and give you a good, a visual. We'll have demos and things to give you a visual of history, not just read you something or,
right. Always
we'll make
making it fun. I knew you were going to
fun
say
and engaging.
That's the purpose. So, yeah, and that'll, like I said, will culminate in that big parade in 2026. And we have a committee. If you want to join the committee, you don't have to come to every meetings. We try to meet once a month to keep on track, keep it going, keep the momentum going.
I've wanted to come to the meeting. Every single one of them has been a conflict.
Yeah.
It's a conflict with me sometimes.
Gosh, I don't even know what's happening.
But if you're interested, I'll send you notes. If you come to one meeting, you'll get the gist of it. But we are trying to plan these events to be 250th events for the year, and we'll add things as the year goes along. There'll be more to add, but it's just to give people the idea that, hey, it's a big deal to celebrate 250 years of anything.
Right.
It only happens once. So we want people to be excited for Shelbyville, for America. I mean, this is America's big birthday. So,
well, that's exciting.
Yeah,
well,
it is fun.
As we know, and people that are listening are finding out, Shelby County is so rich in history. We're so blessed to live here, and there's so many things to know about. What would you say would be one of your favorite little facts or historical things that happened in Shelby County?
Well, being a Boone descendant, I'm going to zero in on Squire Boone's Painted Stone Station.
Right.
Or Uncle Squires, I would have called him. He would have been like my 8th, 9th grade uncle. In 1781, I do the reenactments, with the painted stone settlers. I've done that for a long time, and it's just thrilling. I mean, that history, we get a lot of requests and comments and questions about painted stone, even today. So we would, with the Historical Society, we'd like to put some programming in place going forward and kind of focus on that too. And again, that's one thing that goes along with the 250th, but I'm a little partial to the Boone history.
Absolutely. So as I had mentioned previously, Henry Banta, so he was and that family was at Painted Stone. And then I always wondered, how in the world did they get to Shaker Village? Was it Indian attack? And I guess
Painted Stone, in September of 1781, the settlers were fleeing because they had been harassed by the natives so many times. So on a September day in 1781, they decided to flee to Lynn Station, which was part of the Beargrass stations in Louisville, and they were attacked about mid-route. It would be the town of Eastwood today, if you're familiar with Middletown, the little bitty spot Eastwood. That's about where it happened. And there wasn't. I mean, historically, they've said there were a lot of people killed. There wasn't. It was probably only about 13 people, but people did lose their lives. But it was a massacre. But the rest of the settlers that made it straggled into Lynn Station, and we have, in things like the Draper manuscripts, there's a lot of references to the settlers. That's how we have their stories. And there's a historian, Vince Akers, who I believe he lives in Ohio. He's not from here. He has come to the Painted Stone Long Run Massacre event. But he recorded that Low Dutch history, and he's who we reference as the major historian. We have basically his document on our website. But he is the one that took the time to record it and piece those things together and tell us what we know about Painted Stone Station.
Fantastic. So I have a couple burning questions. Mason may have burning questions as well. Okay. I don't know if you'll know or not. So, of course, our show is called Kentucky Hidden Wonders. So this is definitely a hidden wonder. And I have wondered, so under Shelby County, there are all these tunnels. So when they were redoing the steps on the courthouse, they found a tunnel that went somewhere, I think at Serendipity Candy Kitchen, she has a tunnel. What are these tunnels that are here in Shelby, and what historically were they used for? Do you know?
I don't quite know. Now, Trace Kirkwood, I've heard him talk about it. He's our president of the Historical Society. But I've heard him talk about like those underground tunnels just used by the city. I really don't know. It is fascinating. I wish we could do some kind of tours and things.
Oh, I do too. For the courthouse, I have said, what? You put the cement on before I could strap on a flashlight and go through it?
Yeah. Who knew? But there's like a whole other little city under there.
There is. And then the other question, so at our library, our Carnegie Library, there are all these old tombstones. And then as you look at the grounds, there are indentations where the graves were. I know there is historical significance with that area. Can you tell the listeners a little bit about
I can
library?
tell you what I've discovered. Now, Sarah Beth would be able to tell you exactly who they are and everything about them. But from what I understand, the church that is there on the corner, like across from the library, the Presbyterian church right beside us, from what I understand, they either own land there, or I'm not sure if that's their original location for that church, but I think it belonged to that church. It was a graveyard that belonged to them. But the church, of course, is now hopped across the street on the corner, but the graveyard remained. So as much as I can come up with, I think it tied into that church. But, and of course, the city looks totally different now. And,
it does. And those tombstones,
so
they're very, very old.
Yes.
And I'm so glad they've preserved them, and I'm all about preserving history too.
Yes, and I think it was just the graveyard that went to that church. Now, I might be wrong. Sarah Beth could tell you exactly, but in the building we are in, the museum is in the manse that went with the Presbyterian church. I think it dates to 1872, something like that.
And that's another reason to go to the museum at the Historical Society.
Yeah. It's a neat old building.
It is a neat old building. And even the grounds that surround it are really, really
pretty. The garden out back and everything. It's very pretty.
The city, that's a city parking lot behind us, but it's very pretty. And of course, the VFW is right there across from us. So.
Well, and we are just rich with history. Just walking around downtown or anywhere in Shelby County, you can encounter wonderful history.
You can.
You know what? You did not let me know about my membership.
Oh, yes, membership. I will be glad to
How does that work?
How does that work?
You can contact the office, stop by. We're always looking for members, volunteers, donors, because we try to keep all our programs free except for camp. But it's kind of hard to do that. We do have to have sponsors for different things, volunteers, especially camp. But just for as little as $25 and up, you can be a member. We will probably kick off next month our annual fund drive, which we target our members. But like I said, anybody can be a member. There's no requirements. We have different levels starting at $25 and up.
Is that a year annual?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. But an interesting thing, it's $100. We have like everything labeled. So, for example, if you give $100, you're at the Julia Tevis level. So we thought we might kind of challenge people this year. I call this year the year of Julia, since there's bicentennial, all these things with Julia Tevis, science sale. To me, it's like the whole year is a year of Julia.
Right.
But we're kind of going to challenge and see how many people would give it that level, or we have so many bicentennials. If you can do it, can you give 200? That really helps. It goes a long ways because we do have expenses. We're even going to be working on an archaeology project. We did get some funding for it, but we're going to target high schoolers and work on an archaeology project, which is exciting.
That is super exciting. I want to be a part of it.
Oh, yeah.
So you know what? We could even, on our podcast, put a challenge out, like 250 for that.
Yeah. But I was like, hey, it's bicentennial. If you want to give 200, Julia Tevis level is 100. But we always need those contributions to have the events like the 250th,
right?
To keep things up and running and going. Because like I said, we want to provide free programming as long as we can.
Absolutely.
But we do have expenses. So,
well, that is incredibly affordable, and everyone should be a member of our fabulous historical society. Anything else you'd like to add? Have we missed anything?
We got a lot going on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have we missed anything?
You might have said it and I might have missed it. Website where people can learn more.
Oh, yes.
www.shelbykyhistory.org. I'm glad you said that. We are in the process of updating that website. So if everything doesn't come quite up, give us about another month.
Okay.
But we're kind of freshening it up, adding some new stuff, getting that up to par. You can always contact me, director at shelbykyhistory.org, or call the office, 502-513-5555, Wednesday through Saturday. That's the easiest way. Just contact me if you have any questions or anything.
And you all have a great website. Yeah. I've looked at, you've got some good videos, some reenactments.
Yeah, we're I said, we're updating all that. And a lot of thing that's gotten a lot of attention is the Simpsonville Massacre. The anniversary of that was January 25th, I believe, 160 years. So members Jerry Miller and Juanita White have been very involved with that. And I think Wave 3 actually reached out to me, and I think Juanita may be appearing on there. Jerry's been on WDRB here recently. So there's a lot of interest. And we even partnered with Camp Nelson on that date, January 25th of this year. They reached out to us to do a program. And the Ali Center just recently, that was last week, premiered the screening again of Secrets of the Dead. That was the episode that focused on the massacre.
And just for people who don't necessarily know, just quickly, could you describe for them what that?
It was. It happened in Simpsonville. You see the markers along US 60 if you drive through Simpsonville. That's in that area was where some black Union soldiers were massacred. They were attacked by Confederate guerrillas. And buried in a mass grave. That's the information we have. So Jerry and Juanita both have taken an enormous amount of time to look into that, and there are others too. They have worked with UK, with some archaeologists, and Jerry is close to, he thinks he has pinpointed where that mass grave is because they had to be buried quick. It was in January. We're assuming the bodies were stripped, so it's kind of hard to find like anything metal or anything because they probably took the soldiers' boots. They took their uniforms with their metal buttons. But they think they have narrowed down and found the spot. So Jerry is going to dig, and no matter what is found, one way or the other, we're going to have a follow-up program once that happens too. So we'll have programming that we plug in throughout the year. We don't just set our dates in January. We're just kind of filling in as we go. But we will have a program in Simpsonville near that site. It won't be that site to kind of update at Camp Nelson there. The head guy at Camp Nelson, Stephen Fan, has already agreed to come and speak. So we may do a panel discussion. It's going to be a good program for everyone to be on the same track right at that time and know what's happening going forward. Because if they do find the bodies of the soldiers, they are going to, from what I understand, transfer them to Camp Nelson, which is probably most fitting.
Right.
If they find that mass grave. So yeah, that's exciting. That's kind of an ongoing project with Jerry and Juanita.
Oh, well, that's incredible.
I remember seeing the WDRB story about that.
Okay, so, I'm excited for them. I'm glad they're getting attention. They've worked really hard because I want to say this started in maybe 2007 when Jerry started on this program. So it's been a while. And I know Juanita, I heard her talk about how she went through all those soldiers' pension records to pull out information, get their names, because we have their names, pull the information.
Oh, so you do? You know who
they are? A lot of work. Yeah.
You know who they are?
Yeah, but she pieced the information together from the pension records, because if you think about it, those were young men, like maybe 19, 21, 22 years old, so they may not have had families, or, who are they going to leave something to, and who's going to apply for a pension? So they put a lot of work into that to get that history out there.
Oh, well, Thank you, Helen. You are a wealth of information.
Yes, all kinds of good information.
Thank you so much for being on our show. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. We appreciate it.
You've been fabulous.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
This has been Kentucky Hidden Wonders. Thank you to Helen McKinney for coming on the show to talk about the Shelby County Historical Society, and thank you for listening. If you've made it this far, make sure you subscribe and leave us a review. It means the world to us. We'll return with a brand new Kentucky Hidden Wonders episode in 2 weeks. Bye, everyone. Kentucky Hidden Wonders is a Shelby KY Tourism production. Your hosts are Janet Marson and Mason Warren. To learn more about Shelby KY Tourism and to start planning a visit, head to visitshelbyky.com.